that's probably why I am going to move to the GoPro Hero 12. I've been looking at some of the little known features that a lot of people are not talking about, and these little features might, just might, be worth your time, my time, and more importantly, worth updating your GoPro to the GoPro Hero 12. Let's dive in. First up is the GoPro mount system is gone forever. Well, it's not really, but they've added one little tiny feature, and that's a 1/4" thread, which means your standard tripods can now screw directly into your GoPro. And obviously this is something that should have been in GoPros a long time ago, but most recently there's been lots of cages and mounts that actually have this built in, so you slot in your GoPro. In fact, right now I'm actually recording this in a smaller cage, and you can see this Manfrotto tripod is screwed directly in where the legs would be. The next feature, in my book, GoPro have really downplayed this, and it is a huge big deal. Now again, the argument could be made that yeah, you know, this thing should have been in GoPros for years, and yes, it should. However, if you wanted to add an external mic to a GoPro, you have to buy mods and external mics and dongles, and it's a really cumbersome process, and it kind of takes the action cam vibe away from the GoPro itself, and it's not as portable as it was. AirPods Pro. Now you know what you're saying, huh? Is there AirPods coming with the GoPro? No, but there's Bluetooth connectivity, which means the AirPods, or indeed any Bluetooth headphone, can now connect to the GoPro Hero 12. GoPro finally introduced not a mic jack, but probably the next best thing, and that's Bluetooth audio connectivity, which means headphones, and more importantly, Bluetooth mics, which there's mics in all of these little headphones. They're not amazing, but anyway, can all now be recorded at the same time as your video. One of the bigger updates to the GoPro Hero 12 is this thing called HDR video. It's called High Dynamic Range Video. Now, what does that mean? They've got HDR photos for a while, but what it is, simply put, is let's say you have a beach, a nice, bright, sunny, crystal clear beach, unlike this misery, but whatever. So you have a cave on the beach. Now, if you point your GoPro at one of these things, if you point it at the sky, then the sky is going to be exposed and the cave is going to be blown out, and you're not going to be able to see anything in the cave. None of the details. It's like it's just washed out completely. It's dark, it's black, it's gone. If you point your GoPro at the cave, then the cave you're going to be able to see in, but the sky is going to be blown out, so you're going to lose that crystal clear blue sky. HDR video will basically bring back some of the bright parts of the image and some of the dark parts, and it'll mash the two of them together, so you'll have your bright blue sky, and you'll also be able to see a little bit into the cave to see whatever is lurking in there. Now, HDR video in that scenario is a big deal. However, how many of you can honestly tell me how many times you've seen the HDR tag come up on a YouTube video? Yeah, I can count on one hand. Now, if you go searching for HDR video, there's all these old TV demos that look amazing. They only look amazing if you've got HDR on your phone, or you've got a TV that's got HDR compatibility. So if you don't have that, you're never going to see the true benefits of HDR video. However, again, another however, that doesn't mean you still can't shoot HDR video, and other folks who have got compatible devices can see it. And the thing is, if you're new, HDR video is a really different workflow from just dropping a few clips in. The color space has to be changed, that the timeline that you're working on, and then when it comes to actually uploading it to YouTube and rendering it out, the video needs to be rendered a certain way in a certain color space, and then YouTube will see it as a HDR video, which is great. One of the other updates is the battery life on the Enduro battery. This is the bog standard battery that's with the GoPro. It's not a bad battery. I mean, I'm shooting this in 5.3K and I've got about 70% left, which is fine. But now you can shoot up to 70 minutes of 5K footage on the GoPro Hero 12. They've doubled the battery life, but that comes with lots of disclaimers depending on the operating temperature. So if you're on a really warm day, if you're really driving the camera hard and all the bells and whistles are on, then that battery is going to last a little bit longer, but you may not get double the battery life depending on what you're doing. But better you have a little extra juice than not. But at the same time, GoPro batteries are really cheap, and should you really be leaving the house with just one battery? Over the last few years, there's been a lot of microphones that have come out. Why do I pick the most miserable days to shoot, even though it's like 6:30? Anyway, yeah, Ireland, I won't complain. Well, I am. But there's been a lot of microphones over the last couple of years that have come out, and they've got time codes built into the actual microphones. And for years, any camera worth its salt may well have a time code function built into it. Now, essentially what a time code is, it's kind of a technical THs, no THs. It's a technical thing. So let's say you've got two GoPro Hero 12s and you're shooting from different angles, or maybe you're... Shut up. Or maybe your friend's got another camera and you're both recording at the same time, and it's kind of hard to match where the footage is. So let's say something cool happens. Well, if something cool happens, you have to manually search and try and manually line it up. With time codes, that's pretty much instant, and then any software worth its salt will sync the time codes automatically. Like Premiere or DaVinci will just look at the time codes, boom, and it will sync them. So that's a great feature to have. Well, that's great if you're buying multiple GoPros, and let's be honest, time codes are an industry standard. But speaking of industry standards, we rocking all the fashions this evening. Oh yeah, baby. Anyway, about those industry standards. The GoPro Hero 12 has what is called 10-bit color. So more or less, lots of you might have heard of 8-bit color and 10-bit color. Essentially what it means is 10-bit color, think of a billion colors to work with, and 8-bit color, think of millions of colors to work with. So essentially, like, you know, gradations and stuff, there's less banding and all of that in your footage, which is all well and good, but the last GoPro had that. Now what the GoPro Hero 12 has introduced is something that's called GP log, which is GoPro log. As far as I know, the flat color profile is gone and they've got this log profile, so everything looks really, really washed out. Kind of like this video until I graded it, because right now this has been shot on the flat color profile. Anyway, whatever, that's what you got to do. You got to grade it. So if it's a log profile, if it's a proper log, then you'll squeeze a little bit more dynamic range out of the camera. And with 10-bit footage, it does mean you can push the colors around a little bit. But that also brings me to a question that I'm eventually going to get to, and it's a very important question that you have to ask yourself. Should you upgrade? All of the stuff that I've just spoken about, these tiny little features, are they all alien to you? That's question number one. Are they like, what are you talking about, Vic? Would you ever color grade your footage? Or have you been there, oh man, I wish this GoPro footage was in log? Or have you ever thought to yourself, oh, if only this was a HDR video, it would look incredible on my HDR TV and all my friends' HDR phones? Or maybe you've always wanted time codes or wanted to record off of a Bluetooth mic, and a lot of them can be a little bit, not amazing, but they'll be better than probably what you're hearing right now, which is the onboard mic on the GoPro Hero 11. If you're shaking your head at all of those questions and shaking your head so far, like and subscribe. But if you're shaking your head going, no. If you've got an old GoPro, then like we say the 7 maybe, which is still the OG of the great GoPros, I feel, maybe the 8 or the 9, then the 12 is worth the upgrade technically. But if you're still going, I don't need any of this trash, then you don't upgrade. Quite simple. Save your money and buy something else. I'm sure in a lot of cases you're like, nah, I have the 11 and I'm happy with it. Like, I'm really happy with the GoPro Hero 11, but the Bluetooth option is really nice to have. And the extra battery juice, I don't think it's a deal breaker as such, because you should always have more batteries, as I've said earlier on. Timecode sync, awesome. How many of us will use it? I use timecodes when I'm using multiple cameras, but sometimes it's nearly as easy just to, you know, sync in Premiere with the clap. Yeah, whatever, nice to have. Need it? And the HDR video, also nice to have, but I'm sure most folks out there will never want to use it or have a proper need for it. But again, it's nice to have. So the GoPro Hero 11 definitely was a huge upgrade. The 12, as I said, it's nice to have. However, here's one thing that this is kind of turning my mind on purchasing the 12 and getting rid of my 11. The GoPro Hero 12 is definitely shiny new toy syndrome. We all suffer with gas gear acquisition syndrome. But here's one thing. If you skip on the 12, will your GoPro Hero 11 Black, like mine, hold its value? It's probably going to drop another $100 in value by the time the GoPro Hero 13 comes out. So that's serious food for thought. So that's probably why I am going to move to the GoPro Hero 12. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to make better videos, subscribe.